July 30th, 1966. Wembley Stadium, London. England lifted the World Cup trophy for the first and only time in their history. The crowd went absolutely insane. Players were crying, the entire nation stopped, and in that moment, nobody worried about the future. Nobody thought about what came next. Nobody imagined that 60 years later, England would still be waiting. Because here is the thing about England and the World Cup. It is not just a football story. It is something much more painful than that. It is the story of a nation that invented the game, and then spent 6 decades watching everyone else win it. Think about that for a second. England created football. They wrote the rules. They taught the world how to play. And yet France has won it. Germany has won it. Argentina has won it twice. Brazil has won it 5 times. England, once. In 1966. At home. With a referee decision that half the world still argues about. And never again. So what actually happened? Why has the nation that gave football to the world never been able to win its biggest prize? This is that story. It starts in 1970, and it starts in the most ridiculous way imaginable. England were the defending champions. They had Bobby Moore, one of the greatest defenders who ever lived. They had Bobby Charlton. They were genuinely one of the best teams in the world. And then their goalkeeper Gordon Banks got food poisoning the night before the quarterfinal against West Germany. Their best goalkeeper, completely out. Gone. And England were 2 goals up in that match, completely in control, looking like they were going to cruise through to the semi-final. And then West Germany scored, and scored again, and scored one more time, 3-2. England were eliminated. The defending World Cup champions, out of the tournament, because their goalkeeper ate something that disagreed with him the night before the biggest match of the tournament. That is how the England curse began. Not with a penalty miss. Not with a red card. With food poisoning. Then comes 1986. And this is where it gets genuinely painful. Argentina. Diego Maradona. A match that the entire world remembers for one reason. Maradona jumped for a header and punched the ball into the net with his fist. The referee did not see it. Goal given. England were furious. They had no way to challenge it. No VAR. No appeal process. Nothing. They were just out. And then Maradona ran the length of the pitch and scored what many people consider the greatest individual goal in football history in the same match. Just to really rub it in. Years later he admitted the handball with a smile. He called it a little with the head of Maradona, and a little with the hand of God. England had absolutely no answer. Just the memory of a fist and a nation that felt completely robbed. 1990 is the one that still breaks English hearts the most when they think about it. Paul Gascoigne was having a genuinely extraordinary tournament. The whole country was captivated. England reached the semi-final against West Germany, and it went to penalties. Stuart Pearce missed. Chris Waddle missed. England were out. And Gascoigne, realizing he would be suspended for the final if England won, broke down crying on the pitch. That image of his face, tears running down, the realization that it was all over, became the defining image of English football, heartbreak. And honestly, it still is to this day. An entire generation of English football fans grew up with that image burned into their memory. 1998 brings us David Beckham. England versus Argentina, round of 16. Beckham got fouled, and then flicked his leg back at the Argentine player, who was lying on the ground. Red card. England played with 10 men for most of the match, somehow held on, and took it to penalties, where they lost again. David Beckham went from being one of England's most loved players, to the most hated man in the country, essentially overnight. Newspapers put dartboards with his face on them. He received death threats. For a moment of frustration in a football match. That is the level of pressure that comes with playing for England at a World Cup. 2002, 2006, 2010, 2014. Different tournaments, different managers, different squads. Same story every single time. But 2010 deserves a specific mention, because it might be the most painful one outside of the penalty losses. Frank Lampard hit a shot that crossed the German goal line by nearly a full meter. The ball was clearly over the line. The referee did not give it. Germany went on to win that match 4-1. A goal that clearly went in a World Cup knockout match, just not given. England went home again. Then 2018 happened, and something genuinely felt different. Gareth Southgate, a manager who had himself missed a penalty for England in a major tournament, took a young squad that nobody expected anything from and guided them to the semi-final. Their best run in 28 years. The whole country started believing again, and then Croatia scored in extra time and England were out. But 2018 planted something. For the first time in a long time, the belief came back. 2021. The European Championship Final. Wembley Stadium, England's home ground. England were winning at halftime against Italy, and then Italy equalized, and it went to penalties. 3 young players, Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho, and Bukayo Saka, all missed their penalties. England lost on penalties at home in a final, and within minutes of the final whistle, those 3 players were receiving racial abuse online. 3 young men who gave absolutely everything for their country, abused by some of their own fans for missing a penalty in a shootout. That moment showed exactly what England players carry every single time they put on that shirt. So why has this kept happening for 60 years? The honest answer is that it is a combination of everything. The Premier League argument says English players are squeezed out by foreign talent and do not develop the same tournament experience. The pressure argument says the weight of history affects English players differently to players from other nations who do not carry the same expectations. The penalty argument is simply a fact because England have one of the worst penalty records of any major nation in tournament football. And then there is the luck argument. Food poisoning in 1970, a handball in 1986, a goal not given in 2010, which honestly has some merit, because several of those heartbreaks involved moments that had nothing to do with England playing badly. But here is why 2026 genuinely feels different to every other tournament in the last 60 years. England have Jude Bellingham, a 22-year-old who is already being talked about as one of the best midfielders on the planet. They have Bukayo Saka, who came back after the penalty miss in 2021 and became one of the most consistent performers in European football. They have Phil Foden. They have a manager who has already been to a World Cup semi-final and a European Championship final and knows exactly what it takes to go deep in a major tournament. This is genuinely the most complete England squad in a generation. 60 years is a very long time to carry something. 60 years of near misses and bad luck and heartbreak at the worst possible moments. 60 years of a nation that keeps believing and keeps getting hurt. But football does not care about history. It does not care about 1966 or Gascoigne's tears or Beckham's red card or Lampard's ghost goal that never was. Every tournament starts from zero. And in 2026, England start from zero again, with their best squad in decades, with 60 years of pain sitting on their shoulders, and with a nation that has never once stopped believing that this time, finally, it is coming home. Subscribe because if it actually happens, you are not going to want to miss a single moment of it.